Well, welcome to the 13 News Now Sports Overtime Podcast. Our NFL previews are heating up, fellas. We are on episode number 3 as we work our way through the NFL divisions. We couldn't do it without Brian Smith. Now, I told y'all last week, when Brian has the collar popped, you know he's coming with the heat. When it's zipped all the way up, I'm borderline terrified of
Yeah. Don't be. Don't be. It's a little chilly with the AC. That's why. That's the only reason why.
Strictly a weather provision. Strictly a weather provision. I got it. And it doesn't matter, rain, sleet, or snow. Shane Fordham comes to work every single day with the crispiest, what is it, a Windsor knot?
Yeah, Windsor knot.
Every single day. You all see him on the podcast dressed down. But, woo, that thing is crispy. What's up, Shane?
What's going on? Let's get into it.
So today we're talking about quite possibly the 2 best divisions in football, the AFC and NFC North. I think without question they were the 2 best divisions in football last year. So the question that we will start with today, don't get too detailed because we're going to break this down team by team, division by division, but are these still the 2 best divisions in football? Brian, start us off.
Slightly, yes. I agree. But there are going to be some changes this year that we'll all discuss about this, particularly when it comes to the AFC North. It's not quite the same. They're probably not as deep as, let's say, the NFC North, that except for one team, but they're expecting change. So, I agree. It's not dominated per se by one particular team, let's say by the other divisions.
All right. And Shane, what do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I was thinking about the NFC East and AFC East, but the AFC East is just so bad it doesn't really match up to the NFC East. I think the NFC East is definitely going to be a deeper competition this year than people think. I know we'll get into that next week, but I think right now, I think it's safe to say NFC and AFC North are definitely up there. And last year, they obviously take the cake.
All right, let's start with the AFC North, because last year the AFC North as a crew was the biggest single point of dissent and disagreement amongst this trio. Now, yeah. I've bragged quite a bit about our arguments last year when it came to Ravens Steelers. Do y'all want me to do one more victory lap, or should we just move to 2025?
Please don't, because you might tear an Achilles or something like that trying to do a victory lap. You're good. You got your point. If you want to, that's fine.
We weren't totally wrong, though. Like, we're not just gonna act like me and B. Smith were way off the mark. We weren't totally. The Steelers had one of the best defenses last year. They did get hot on a run with Russ back there at quarterback, where the offense was looking smooth.
They did.
And really the main thing that derailed them was injuries. I mean, you can't expect that offense to be as fully functioning without their receiver one and George Pickens. Me and B. Smith weren't totally wrong.
I do believe the argument was, who's better, Steelers or Ravens? And I was staunchly on the side of Baltimore. And you guys picked Pittsburgh in the wild card round of the 2024 AFC playoffs. The Ravens beat the Steelers for the final stake in the heart of our. Now, part of the reason that I'm so excited about this is because I am wrong a lot. So it was nice to get all right. So I've really held this one close to the heart. But that's the last we'll hear of it. We're on to 2025. Let me give you guys some facts about this division from 2024. First place, those Baltimore Ravens, 12-5. They beat Pittsburgh in the wild card round. They lost to the Bills in the divisional round. And if you guys will recall, 27-25 was the final score, and the Ravens missed a 2-point conversion with 1 minute and 33 seconds to play that would have tied that playoff game against the Buffalo Bills in the divisional round. But another tough playoff loss for Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. In second place, your Pittsburgh Steelers at 10-7, who fell to the Baltimore Ravens in the wild card round. In third place, the Cincinnati Bengals at 9-8. They started the year 4-8. First they were 0-3, then they were 1-4, then they were 4-8. They finally won 5 in a row to finish it, but it wasn't enough to make up for the slow start. The Bengals missed the playoffs. And then the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns were so Cleveland Brownie. Apologize to all the Cleveland fans if you are tuning in. 3-14 for the Cleveland Browns. One of the more disastrous seasons that we've seen in a long time. as evidenced by the fact that they were 32nd in points for and 27th in points against. I think we all remember that 2023 defense in Cleveland that was pretty good. Not the case last year. 27th in points against. Offense feeds into the defense. That might be a little bit of a misnomer. The offense was just so bad that your defense can only be so good in a situation like that. Let's talk about the 2025 quarterbacks for the Cleveland Browns. Give me a whoop whoop when you hear a player that you would like to start your franchise with. Joe Flacco, 40 years old this season. A great career for Flacco. But if he's the starting quarterback for your team in 2025, you got questions. Kenny Pickett, a Super Bowl champion with the Philadelphia Eagles. Kenny Two Gloves. Surfaced in Cleveland. And then, of course, we have Tyler Huntley, who was recently signed. I believe he's just because of injuries that they got going on, but still funny that Tyler Huntley's on this team. And then they have Dylan Gabriel, sort of a surprise, semi-early draft pick out of Oregon. Had a great season for the Ducks, but a little bit on the small side. And then, of course, give it up for Shane Fordham's guy, Shedeur Sanders, a startlingly good first preseason game for the 5th-round pick. Certainly better than we see your typical 5th-round pick play in a preseason game. How about those Pittsburgh Steelers? We mentioned they made the playoffs. They made the playoffs because they started 10-3. On December 8th, this team was 10-3, and Brian and Shane were walking around the studio with their chest puffed out.
No,
I was
stop it. Just stop it. No, that was not the case with me.
I said I wouldn't mention it again. They lost 4 straight to end the regular season and then fell in that first playoff game. How about the Bengals? Do you guys want to talk about some players that broke the game of football? Last year, Joe Burrow, 4,918 yards passing, 43 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. Jamar Chase, ever heard of him? 127 catches, 1,708 yards, 17 TDs for the Triple Crown in the NFL. Led each of the big 3 receiving categories. A little closer to the Triple Crown than Francisco Lindor, but we'll leave that where it may fall.
Wow,
Lindor's having a decent year. I'm sorry, B. Smith. More players that broke football. Lamar Jackson. Are you guys ready for this? I don't think you guys remember. 4,172 yards passing. 41 touchdowns through the air. 4 interceptions. He led the league in quarterback rating and QBR. 915 rushing yards, 9 touchdowns. Lamar Jackson accounted for 50 touchdowns last season. And then, of course, Derrick Henry at age 30. They told you running backs don't perform when they're old. Guess again. 1,921 yards and a league-leading 16 touchdowns for Derrick Henry and the Baltimore Ravens. Now, those 4 guys broke the game of football, and yet none of them even made the conference title game.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, we're going to rank the quarterbacks. But first, what I want to do is I want you guys to tell me which weapon you would rather have on your team headed into 2025. Jamar Chase or Derrick Henry? Shane.
Ooh.
I think I'm going to go with Jamar Chase. I think Jamar Chase does a little bit more for the offense than Derrick Henry, just because he can be a deep threat, but he can also be used as more of a Debo all-purpose receiver, a guy who you can get the ball to in the check down, short yardage game, allow him to create with his own legs. He's great in yards after catch. He's great as a ball carrier, just as great as he is as a ball catcher, so I think I'm going to go with Jamar Chase for this one.
And do you know who agrees with you, Shane? I was watching that quarterback show on Netflix. Joe Burrow said Jamar Chase is the best runner with the ball in his hands that he's ever played with. B. Smith, are you going to zag? Are you going to go Derrick Henry here?
Wow.
No, well, to be fair, Connor, he has been playing with Jamar for like 8 years.
Well, that is true. Yeah. You go back to college.
More like five.
Yeah.
But
no one come into his life in all that time that carries the ball.
He's not lying.
He played with Justin Jefferson, too. He played with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, too.
Yeah. I would say Jamar is definitely a better ball carrier than JJ, though. But sorry, B. Smith, go ahead.
No, it's okay. I tend to lean towards Jamar Chase, but I mean, you can't help it. A lot of the 50 touchdowns you were talking about with Jamar Chase, a lot of that had to do with Derrick Henry and time and chewing up the clock and punishing defenses. Nobody could stop him. 16 touchdowns you said he had?
16 touchdowns, led the league, 66 touchdowns between those two guys.
I know it's a passing league. I know it is. But, Derrick Henry is a throwback. He is one of those guys. Lord knows he is not Saquon Barkley. No. However,
not that far off.
He's not that far off. That's why it's Jamar, but barely. Because of what he has meant to their offense. Because of that, that's why Lamar Jackson is able to put up those numbers like he was able to. When you got somebody like Derrick Henry, you hand the ball off to, and you pray for any linebackers or definitely DBs who will try and tackle him, because he's going to bring it all game long.
Gotta go for them legs.
Derrick,
go for those legs.
No, those aren't legs. Those are redwoods.
Got to go for the redwoods.
Gotta go for the redwoods.
Tackle the redwoods.
What happens when you try to tackle a redwood?
You unconscious.
Bounce off of
normal human beings unconscious.
Yes.
The occasional NFL player can tackle it. Now, I guess that begs the question, and we're going to do this quickly. I don't want to dive too deep into this because we'll be here all night. Is Jamar Chase the best wide receiver in football?
Yeah.
It's Justin Jefferson for me.
I lean Jamar Chase. Yeah.
Same?
You can make a case for both.
I think Justin Jefferson is a better contested catcher. I think Jamar Chase, which doesn't really fall under the umbrella of receiver. Like, I know I said Jamar Chase is better with the ball in his hands. He's better in yards after catch, but that's not necessarily a receiver only trait. That's just an all around offensive.
Counts in this discussion, though. That is a part of this debate.
But in terms of just the traditional role of a receiver in terms of being a pass catcher, I think
it's all of it. It's all of it together.
It's hard, though, because what I'm saying, though, I think Justin Jefferson has slightly better hands, obviously being a better contested catcher.
Better route runner.
It's hard to.
Better route runner.
You said what?
Better route runner.
Yeah, for sure.
Justin Jefferson, better route runner.
By a hair, I would say yes. But then it's hard to argue against a Triple Crown winner in Jamar Chase. So I don't know. I mean, I don't think you're wrong. Honestly, I think they're interchangeable. Like, I honestly think it's like 1A, 1B at this point, honestly.
You hate to penalize a guy for who he played with because he can't help that, but Jefferson did it with Darnold and Cousins.
That's true.
Older Cousins. Whereas I think Joe Burrow is one of the 4 best quarterbacks in the league. We are going to talk about Jefferson when we talk about the NFC North. Maybe we'll touch on this argument again. For now.
But Connor, I will say, though, with Darnold and Kirk Cousins, they also had much better O-lines than Joe Burrow did.
True.
So they had more time to get the ball. They had a little more stability back there. But sorry, go ahead. Just had to add that.
Fair. This is fair. All fair points. It's hard to decide. Now, let's rank quarterbacks, my favorite part of every division. Let's see. I guess that I will go ahead and jump in there and go first. I've got Lamar Jackson, number 1. I've got Joe Burrow, number 2. I've got Aaron Rodgers for the Pittsburgh Steelers, number 3. The resurgent Aaron Rodgers, a New York Jet legend. Aaron Rodgers, number 3 with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then whatever the Browns got going on, one of their 5 guys would probably be last for me. I guess we'll go Flacco for now. I think Flacco's in line to start, probably. So I'll go Flacco, number 4. What do you guys got? Brian, you go ahead and go first.
Pretty much what you said, Jackson, Burrow. I reluctantly, and I say this as respectfully as possible, reluctantly put Aaron Rodgers third. I do.
Hey, that's very big of you, B. Smith.
If it weren't for the Browns just being so horrific at what they do, if Shedeur Sanders were to see more time at this stage, I would. It'd be wrong of me. He's just a rookie. I get it. And people always 5th round. No, he was playing like a 1st round quarterback, a 1st round draft pick. I think we all agree to that. He was playing like it. He's just on a team that just still trying to figure it out. But yeah, reluctantly, I put Aaron Rodgers. Given what he did with the Jets, I'll go as far as saying this may be Mike Tomlin's first losing season, possibly.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
I might go that far.
Are you going? Is that your division hot take? Have you already?
Yeah, that it could be.
Now, I want to let Shane rank the quarterbacks, and then we're going to get back to that. Your thought on the Steelers. I'm not so sure if that's going to end up being the case. Shane, are you going to put Joe Burrow first? That's the only place I see any wiggle room. Or maybe you'll put Shador third based on your history. Where are you going here, Shane?
Connor, you know me so well, man. You know me so well. It's almost like
Which
we've
one?
been working together for a minute. I'm going to go Lamar at number 1.
Okay.
I'm going to go Joe Burrow at number 2. And yes, I'm going to put Shador at number
Over
3.
Aaron Rodgers?
I'm putting him over Aaron Rodgers, bro. I don't know if y'all have been watching camp and like keeping up with how Steelers camp is going right now, but like Aaron Rodgers looks so old. Like I've never seen the age more visible. But
Hey, whoa, I know he's
old in football.
I know he's old. He's quarterback old. Yeah.
Right.
Athletics wise, he's old.
Okay, that's much better.
In terms of life, he's a spring chicken. He's got his whole life in front of him.
Yeah, bright future ahead of him. He's gonna have a nice life. But football wise, it looks like he has 1 year left. Like I'm watching him going through the cone drills. It doesn't look pretty. It doesn't look smooth. It almost looks like there should be a screeching sound when I watch him move around. Like, you know how when you're in your car and you can tell your brakes need to be changed because you can both see it, hear it, or not see it. You can both hear it and feel it. That's what it's like watching Aaron Rodgers practice highlights and camp highlights right now for the Steelers. It just doesn't look smooth. It doesn't really look that promising and that motivating that he's going to be able to avoid a losing season with the Steelers this year, especially when you look at the lack sort of in a true receiver one or true potent threat on offense.
DK Metcalf is a receiver one now. Hold on.
Sorry. Excuse me.
All right, hold on. I like the take, but let's not get crazy. And I want to. Can we pump the Shador brakes just a little bit? He played really well.
Not a lot, but he did show signs of he's that kind of talent.
He didn't get it going until the second quarter, at which point the Panthers backups were already. Was it the Panthers? Yeah. I apologize.
It was the Panthers. Okay. But what I will say though, aside from DK, there's not a lot of weapons on this offense. I don't think this field is going to be stretched very much for Aaron Rodgers to be able to really make plays. I think it's going to be easy for defenses to key in on DK. And it's just like I said again, Aaron Rodgers looks very old. But looking at Shador is I won't say the only player, but if you look at the system he was in Colorado, it's going to be very similar to what he'll be kind of thrust in Cleveland. He's not going to be playing behind the best O-line. He already has experience in being able to create and throw the ball under pressure. I know that was sort of a negative in terms of holding on to the ball a little too long to make a play, waiting a little too long to make decisions, but he is at least used to having to operate and play underneath that pressure. And we saw how much that experience mattered in his first preseason game. He didn't panic under pressure like we saw a lot of quarterbacks do in their preseason debut. He was confident in his legs. He was confident in his arm. Yeah. He made the plays he needed to make. I'm putting Shador over Aaron Rodgers right now.
That's crazy.
I forget who the receiver was, but the pass that he rolled right and threw a dime basically into a garbage can to his, I believe it's tight end. That says a lot. That's coming from a rookie. And even though it's third string, whatever he was playing, I think it showed a lot of touch. And not a lot of rookies have that quality. Even though it wasn't a touchdown, it was a nice pass because he looks like somebody who's been in the league for a year or two off of something like that.
Well, the only nailed it. You nailed it. That's real quick, Shane. You nailed it, B. Smith. That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah. You see the accuracy. He has a relatable throwing trait that is going to be there for him. Super accurate. Go ahead, Shane.
I was just going to say, and the only people that have something negative to say about him are the higher ups, the execs, the guys who, really didn't want to draft him in the first place. All of his teammates that have at least been vocal about him have all positive things to say about him, especially pass catchers. Jerry Jeudy has had nothing but positive things to say about him. David Njoku has had nothing but positive things to say about him. So I have more faith in Shador right now than I do Aaron Rodgers. I wouldn't be surprised if Aaron Rodgers is able to do something with the Steelers squad. The culture they have, the defense they have. They bring in a receiver 1 and DK, but if I'm putting money on one guy, if Shador does get his shot, I think Shador starting on a team that does have a defense that is up there with the Steelers, at least the way it was last year with a healthy Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, that does have weapons on offense when they are healthy.
27th in points allowed in the league.
But that's
last
also
year.
But that's
and they
also,
did have Owusu-Koramoah was hurt, but I believe he's out for a big chunk of this season.
I think he's on the IL, the IR. That is because I think because of that neck injury that he suffered, so he's still out for right now.
But you have to think how poor that offense looked last season. How unproductive that offense looked last season. That doesn't help your defense at all.
Yeah.
Like if your offense can be bad enough to put your defense in some tough spots. Like if your defense is backed up against the wall almost every possession, there's not much they're going to be able to do. But we know when healthy, they do have the talent. They do have talent up there with some of the best units in the NFL. And if they have a quarterback that is actually able to produce with the weapons that is around him, that is able to kind of keep the defense off the field, for a sustainable amount of time.
I don't think they have that good of weapons. Do they? I mean, Jerry Jeudy is a very solid receiver. Cedric Tillman has had some moments, but I mean, you lost Nick Chubb, Jerome Ford, and Quinshon Judkins is your 1-2. Like you said, we have no idea what the offensive line is going to bring to the table. They've got decent guys on offense. It's not, last year's Patriots or anything like that. But I don't think they have a Vikings-esque offense where you can.
No, I'm not saying that.
Young quarterback in there and think that he can be successful just because of the guys around him. I think Shador will. I think Shador may show flashes, and I think he may end up being the best out of their 5 quarterbacks, but I just don't see any way in which he is someone who can power a team to wins in 2025.
I have a question real quick. Do you guys know whether or not Pittsburgh has even a decent offensive line? Because we've been battering Aaron Rodgers.
It's definitely decent.
I think decent.
It's decent.
Above decent is.
But is that enough to buy him time at 41 now?
I think he's 40.
40. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to add a year, but at 40 years old, we were talking about him going through the cones. At one point, I went, "Is this in slow motion? Or is this real time?" Because that's kind of how I felt. I was like, "Wow, I thought I moved slow."
Boy. I got bad news, guys. I'm slacking this pod. This will be Aaron Rodgers' age 42 season. I was thinking of 42. Joe Flacco when you said.
So he is moving like someone who's 42.
Right.
But I saw it too, Shane. I was like, is he supposed? I mean, maybe he's taking it easy. I get it, but if that's as good as it's going to get, even with a decent offensive line, Aaron Rodgers is in some major trouble if he doesn't get rid of the ball.
Let me pitch you guys this, okay, real quick. Let me throw this at you, all right? When it comes to Aaron Rodgers, you've got Arthur Smith as the offensive coordinator, an extremely competent offensive coordinator who knows how to scheme up a solid system. You've got a decent offensive line. You've got DK Metcalf on the outside. This guy, Shane, said no weapons. How about Pat Freiermuth and Jonnu Smith? You're a tight ends guy, Shane. You played a couple reps at tight end.
I'll give you Pat. I think Jonnu's a little. I think that's stretching it a little.
Okay, we'll see with Jonnu. And you got Jalen Warren at running back. They lost Najee Harris.
Yeah.
But with that defense being what it is, if Aaron Rodgers can step back and say, look, I'm at a point in my career where I need to play the system. I do not need to be the one in control of this offense. I need to play my role in this offense. If Aaron Rodgers is willing to step back, do that with this defense and a couple guys on the outside who he can toss it up to when he needs to.
Yeah.
I think that we could see a better season than Russell Wilson and Justin Fields had last year in Pittsburgh.
Maybe, fair enough.
To do that, because
I hope he uses Najee Harris to his advantage.
Najee Harris is gone. Najee Harris is no longer. He's been a Steeler his whole career. I feel you, B. Smith.
But see, Connor, you're saying that as if, like, right now, I think Russell Wilson is a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers. So I agree. I don't see Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, I don't see.
That's a hard thing.
Seriously. You're not going to tell me that Russell Wilson is more is less mobile than Aaron Rodgers. Because, I mean, Russell Wilson, yes, he has slowed down, but he's not like Aaron Rodgers. He's just not. I'm sorry. I disagree on that one.
Yeah, I think I don't see Aaron Rodgers and DK is a great pickup. DK is a big pickup.
Huge pickup.
But Russell Wilson also had a receiver one. Like this isn't I don't think we're not really seeing anything too different in regards to the talent level on offense. I think the only thing is that Aaron Rodgers is slightly, at least in my opinion, slightly underneath Russell Wilson. I don't see the offense having I don't see them having much more of a pop than what they had last season with Russell Wilson, even with Justin Fields back there.
Can they be steady? Can they hold on to the football? Can they let the defense do their thing? Right? If Aaron Rodgers can say, I'm going to be an average quarterback in this guy's system, and that's all I need to do, then not only do I think that the Steelers get at least 9 wins, but I think Rodgers will look competent, more competent than Shador as a rookie, at least. He's gonna have those rookie struggles,
But if you're saying Aaron Rodgers would need to be basically an average quarterback, I'm saying if Shador is starting, I don't see him being an average quarterback. I see him really making a run for offensive rookie of the year. Not having a historic year.
It's one preseason game and he got going against the backups.
Yeah, let's not go crazy.
Let me be clear. I feel like anytime people say offensive rookie of the year now, we automatically think JD or CJ Stroud. I'm not saying that. But I do think he could have
or Cam Ward or Travis Hunter.
I do think he could definitely, in terms of the system he's in, if he gets
or Ashton Jeanty.
Yes, I 100% think. I don't think it's crazy to say Shador Sanders could be in that running for offensive rookie of the year if he does actually get a fair and sustainable shot. And I'm looking at the squad, and in order for the Browns to actually make a run and compete in this division, it'll be because Shador Sanders is playing good football. He is using and now I will say. Now, he does have weapons around him that are healthy. David Njoku, very dependable. Jerry Jeudy. Now, Jerry Jeudy, some of that does fall on Jeudy for sure. We know he's been injury riddled. He usually does have injury issues. I think him being healthy plays a big part in this. But I think if he does have a healthy squad this year, I don't think it's crazy to say Shador will have a better season than Aaron Rodgers.
I agree with you up to a point. Will he be in the running? Possibly for offensive rookie of the year. I think if he, like you said, if those all come together, yes, he can. Winning, hold up.
We don't even know if Shador's going to be the starter.
Exactly.
I'm saying this is
if he gets the chance.
I'm saying if we obviously it's obviously not looking good right now because they got Dylan Gabriel.
They don't even like him over there. Like you said, yes, the players love him, but the players don't make the decisions.
Exactly.
And also said the executives clearly don't seem thrilled to have him on their squad, and those are the guys who oftentimes make the decisions. I do like Kevin Stefanski as a coach, and having Shador with Stefanski, I think, is a plus. But to be talking offensive rookie of the year, I think we got to get a bunch of ice cubes and put them in a bathtub and then turn the water on for a couple minutes and then just dunk under there for a little bit before we start saying Shador Sanders offensive rookie of the year.
Now let me say this. Because this is something that's been floating around, so I'm not just making this up. If we do see a Shador Sanders trade where he is traded to, because there are a few teams that
we'll talk about that when the time comes, though.
There's a few teams that need a starting quarterback right now. This is an idea that's been floating around. Shador being traded. Imagine he goes to a team that has more weapons, like a team that has more viable weapons, more dependable weapons than the Steelers. The way he played in the preseason game, the way that he is used to playing, I definitely don't think it'll be crazy then, let alone now, to say he could be in the running possibly if he actually gets a shot.
I still don't see it, but if a trade happens, we'll talk about that when the time comes. Okay, let's talk Bengals. Let's talk Cincinnati Bengals here. I'm going to tell you guys the margin of defeat for the Bengals last season. In their in their 8 losses, here were the margins of defeat. 6-1, 5-3, 20 to the Super Bowl champion Eagles, 1-7-6. Outside of the dominant Super Bowl champion, they did not have a single loss that was by more than 7 points. And frankly, they played the Baltimore Ravens to a standstill twice. And if you flip those two games, I know that's a little, we're doing some real theoretical looking back here, but if you flip those two games, all of a sudden the Bengals are in the playoffs. So, and they're division champions as well. So what do you guys foresee for the Bengals this season with Burrow, Chase, and Higgins? They're still trying to get Hendrickson in there, but they won 5 straight to end the season. The defense went from being the worst we've ever seen to below average. And if that defense can just be average to below average, then I think the Bengals are one of the best teams in the NFL. What do you foresee for the Cincinnati Bengals this season, Shane Ford?
I do not see much. I'm going to be honest with you. I do not see much. The defense, this defense looks absolutely terrible right now. I mean, they gave up just a few days ago, 193 yards and 2 touchdowns to Tanner McKee, the backup quarterback for the Eagles. This defense is not a defense that can seriously allow this Bengals team to be a serious contender in the NFL, especially when
they only need one stop a game. One or two stops a game.
But they could be even worse this year than they were last year. And I don't think, I don't have a lot of faith in this squad, especially in this conference. The guys, the guys, the players, the teams that they have to contend with, I don't see them. Obviously, the Chiefs are going to be a playoff team. Houston should be a playoff team. The Bills will be a playoff team. The Ravens will be a playoff team. I just don't think. I mean, the Chargers will be a playoff team. The Steelers the Denver will definitely be a playoff team. I don't see the Bengals seriously taking a playoff spot or clinching a playoff spot over one of those squads.
I've got the Bengals over the. I think the Bengals.
And the offense is very one-dimensional as well. We know the passing attack is there, but the offense is very one-dimensional. They haven't had a serious run game since Joe Mixon departed to go to the Texans. So I don't see a lot. I don't see a lot coming out of this Bengals squad.
I think that they've got one of the best passing games the NFL has ever seen. Even if that offense is one-dimensional, even if they have a facet of their program that is the best in the world and one of the best in the history of the league with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins. I think this year that will be enough to overcome. I've got them in the playoffs. I think they're better than the Steelers. I might take them over the Broncos, and I think they're neck and neck with the Chargers. I would take them over the Chargers even. But I've got, I'm a big Burrow guy. I think he is going to be all-time Hall of Fame, one of the greats. And he had one of the best seasons in the history of the quarterback position last year. I know I'm throwing out these big comparisons, but they're apt because that's how good this team is. You can be one-dimensional if your dimension is historically elite.
Oh, speaking of historic, they get off to slow starts. Last year, again, you mentioned that Joe Burrow put some incredible numbers because he had to win. The reason why, they started off 1-5. And you're supposed to be the team that everybody's looking to at that time. They start off 1-5. Obviously, they lose to New England. Of course, they lose to Kansas.
That's a tough one. You can't have that.
How do you lose to New England? Kansas City, I get it. They only lost by 1 point. Washington, we didn't know what we were looking at the time.
And remember, Washington beat them on a crazy walk-off to Terry.
They did. They beat Carolina by 10, lose to Baltimore in overtime. I get it. They beat the Giants, beat Cleveland, and they fall to the Eagles. But that's the rep they've had easily the last 2 years. Tell me if I'm wrong. The last 2 years, they get off to slow starts. When that changes, now you can consider them a contender because everybody in the previous 2 years were like, hey, pencil them in. They're in the postseason. They're going to make a deep run, and they get off to a lousy start. Again. Will that happen this year?
I've got Joe Burrow's coming into the season healthy and motivated. I've got them getting off to a hot start this year.
But he had a great season last year because it's how he finished.
Started slow coming off the injury. Check this out. They played Cleveland and Jacksonville to start the season. So you can almost, granted they played New England to start last season, but Cleveland, Jacksonville, so can we pencil them in for 2-0? And now you're off and running with a good start for the first time.
You don't know they'll beat Jacksonville. You don't know they'll beat Jacksonville.
But Jacksonville's but it's a reasonable guess, no?
I don't think so, because we just talked about this last week. I think Jacksonville could really be one of the sleepers of the NFL this year. Like, this is they have a new and improved play caller.
Well, don't get too deep into the Jags. We talked about the Jags last week. I know you like the Jags, so you think that's a tough start.
I got how they match up. I'm looking at how weak that offensive line is, and I'm looking at how talented their pass rush is in Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines Allen. Like, that's an easy match. I think they definitely obviously have the receiver conversation in terms of DBs versus receivers. Who knows what Travis could look like this year, though? Who knows?
Oh, I mean, the Bengals are winning that part of the discussion. I can guarantee you that. Okay, so you don't even guarantee a hot start. All right, so you guys are a little down on the Bengals. I'm a little up on the Bengals. This is our first. We got a little bit of discrepancy here.
You got to show me.
I'm looking at this schedule right now, and there's a lot of teams on the schedule this year that could walk away with a dub after their matchup against Cincinnati. Do you want to? Can we go through this real quick, just game by game? Just a quick.
All right, quickly.
Okay, so we just talked about Jags. They got Vikings next in Minnesota. I think that could easily be an L. They have the Broncos in Denver. I think that could be an L. They got the Lions in Cincinnati. That can be an L. A healthy Lions team. They got the Packers in Green Bay. That could be an L.
And then 3 straight W's. 3 straight W's after that. 3 straight W's after that.
Who?
They go who? Steelers, Jets, Bears. 3 straight W's if you want to play the game of like who's going to be favored.
You think that's a clear dub against?
No, but you're giving them clear. You're giving them clear L's that aren't clear L's. So we got to work on.
I said they could be, like, the fact that it's even a toss up. Like, you're saying it was an easy 2-0, and that's the first
it sounds like they could be getting off to another slow start, which is not good.
They might lose to the Jets this year.
All right, we're gonna. Hey, once again, chill out.
They might lose to the Jets.
Once again,
Justin Fields. No,
we have an AFC North disagreement on our hands. We'll go ahead. We'll put it up on the wall. We'll see where it goes. You make great points. It's hard to argue against how terrible that defense is and how poorly managed the program is overall.
And the Patriots are better this year. I'll say that too. The Patriots are a better squad this year.
I do agree the Patriots will be better, but the Bengals should beat them with the talent they have on the field.
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to give my hot take for this division, and then we got to move on. The digital team hates us because we give them these long files every week. My hot take, this isn't that hot. I'm embarrassed at how this is a lukewarm take. I got the Baltimore Ravens winning the 2025 Super Bowl.
No.
I don't think that's a hot take. I mean, I think that's
hot, but it's
an expectation at this point.
It's a microwave take.
Yes.
Yeah. May I remind you, they lost to the Bills by 2. They had a 2-point chance to tie it. They were down 21-10 at halftime after playing terribly in the first half, and they had no Zay Flowers in that game. If Derrick Henry holds up as a 31-year-old running back, this is probably the second most talented roster in the NFL behind Philly. I think it's their time. I think the Ravens present a tougher matchup for the Chiefs than the Bills do. I think the Ravens come out of the AFC, and I think they win the Super Bowl February 2026. Do we have any agreement amongst the panel? Shane's got – I don't like the look on your face, Shane. Go ahead. Go ahead. Well, B-Smith, you go first because I know Shane's got a lot to say. Go ahead, B-Smith.
Well, I mean, it is a good take. Would I be surprised if the Ravens win the Super Bowl? No, I wouldn't. I'm a little leery because, yes, Kansas City had their heads handed to them, but I can't give up on them just yet.
I'm with you. I think KC's great. I think people are sleeping on KC because of the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's hard to do that.
All right, and now we all got to sit here and listen to Shane Ford bash Lamar. Go ahead, Shane.
I was going to say, I think at the very least, it should be a trip to the Super Bowl. At the very least.
Okay. My bad. I should have doubted you. I'm sorry.
They have an elite offensive line, an offensive line that was definitely top 3 last year. They were top 3 in pass blocking. They were top 3 in run blocking. They definitely have some receiver help this year. D-Hop, I think people are really underrating that pickup. I mean, D-Hop, his last fully played season, he was an 1,000-yard pass catcher, which was the season before last, and his quarterback was Will Levis. So you're adding him to a team that already has an elite tight end duo with Isaiah Likely, Mark Andrews. Now you put a guy who has been a receiver 1 for the past 2 years to a receiver 2 now in Zay Flowers, a role I think he'll flourish in. So I think he definitely has the weapons on offense, and then they clearly have an elite, or should have an elite defense this year, what could be the best secondary. They bring in Jair Alexander. They draft Malachi Starks. We already know they got Kyle Hamilton, Marlon Humphrey, Nate Wiggins, who was an impressive rookie last year. Arguably the best linebacker in the game in Roquan Smith. And an underrated pass rush, in my opinion, with Nnamdi Madubuike, Kyle Van Noy, one of my favorite guys right now, and Owe. So, I mean, this, at the very least, it should at least be a trip to the Super Bowl.
There we go. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about, Shane.
But if it's not, we know whose fault it is.
I hear you. Look,
if it's not, we know whose fault it is.
Lamar Jackson went in there and he dominated the Pittsburgh Steelers in the wild card round. He does have a notch on his playoff belt. He's been to an AFC championship game, and when it comes to the regular season, he's one of the best players in the history of football. Again, 41 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 915 yards on the ground, and 9 more touchdowns. What he's doing, we have never seen it before. He is one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game in the regular season. And I think
interesting. You see how you had to add that last part of it?
Listen,
in the regular season.
Don't point at me now. Don't point at me now.
I'm just saying.
I'm with you. We're on the same page, but I think it will translate. I think he's got the right mentality. I think it will translate to the postseason at some point in his career. And I think that this year might just be that season. And I'm torn with the Chiefs because I think the Chiefs are being slept on because that's who won.
Yes.
But that's my take. All right, should we go to
talent too, though? We know the Chiefs have talent too, but I think Ravens should be able to win that battle.
Do you want me to let you know my take?
Yeah.
I kind of let it out of the hat. There's just something about this whole thing. Everybody's been hesitant ever since Aaron Rodgers was coming to Pittsburgh, and the Steelers basically pushed all their chips in and said, we're going with the 42-year-old guy. And unfortunately, I think because of that, Newport News native, former William & Mary product, Mike Tomlin, may have his first losing season.
All right.
Which will lead people to go, oh, my gosh, maybe we should make some changes. I'll take him in a heartbeat. Let me ask you a question. If Mike Tomlin does have a losing season this year, do you think he loses the job? Not asking if you think he should. He should.
But does he?
He has earned the right.
I don't think he does.
I know
they go 2-16.
Yeah.
Who knows? But
it would have to be horrific for that to even happen. And even then, I'm gonna give him a pass. I'm not in this. Oh my gosh, we need to make a change. We should have been made this change. No. Name one coach who's never had a losing season in what, 16 years? Name one.
Nick Sirianni.
There isn't. He's earned the right. Okay? People may go, it's mediocre.
Hey. Multiple different quarterbacks as well.
Exactly.
And none of them good. And they are putting themselves in a position they're going to run with Rodgers for a year, and they're going to go get a quarterback in the draft, and then let's see if we can go win with a young guy of his choosing. All right, we got to get to the NFC North.
All right, let's get to the NFC. Yes.
All right, 43-minute mark. We finished the first division. This is treacherous stuff here. Okay, let's run through this quickly. I'll do less facts. NFC North last season, the Detroit Lions won at 15-2, but they lost in the divisional round to your Washington Commanders. Jared Goff, 3 picks, 1 fumble in that round. But those Lions, seventh in points allowed, first in points scored. Minnesota Vikings, second place, 14-3. They lost to the Rams in the wild card round. Sam Darnold took 9 sacks in that game. Now, the Minnesota Vikings started the season on an absolute tear, okay? They began the season 14-2. But in the last game of the regular season and the playoff game, they lost the 2 biggest games of the year by a combined score of 58-18. They only lost to 2 teams, the Lions and the Rams. They only lost to 2 teams all season. They lost to each of them twice. But they got smacked when it mattered most. Sam Darnold is gone. J.J. McCarthy is in. Third place, the Green Bay Packers also made the playoffs at 11-6. They lost in the wild card to Philly. And in fourth place, the Chicago Bears, 5-12. But guess what? The Chicago Bears went into their bye week 4-2. Pretty nice. Not bad for the rookie. They lost to the Washington Commanders on the Hail Mary land. And, they lost 10 straight from that point on to finish 5-12. So the question I ask, Lions, Vikings, Packers, Bears, that was the finish last season. What is the finish? Or I guess a better way to phrase this, is there any change in that this season?
I'm going to flip-flop, in my humble opinion. I'll go Lions, Packers, Vikings, Bears.
Fair. That's what I thought that might be where you were headed. Shane, agree or disagree?
Yeah, Jordan Love, definitely.
That's actually my exact – B. Smith, look at us.
I thought that might be the case.
Well, in a footnote, the reason why the Lions, but it won't be as easy as people think, because much like the Eagles, they lost both of their coordinators, I believe.
Right.
So we don't know. Don't be surprised if the Packers leapfrog them and win the division.
Now, why the Packers love, fellas? Shane, go ahead. Why the Packers love? Because the Packers, year in and year out, the Packers have a decent roster and a lot of hype, and they have not lived up to the billing. And I'll say this: we're talking about all these quarterbacks I'm talking about all these guys that are breaking football, crazy statistics, all that. Jordan Love last year, 3,389 yards passing, 25 touchdowns, 11 picks, 4 fumbles in 15 games. He went 9-6 in those games. They went 2-0 with Malik Willis with Jordan Love on the bench. Love's got all the talent in the world, but he hasn't shown he can be consistent with it. Why the Packers love, Shane?
Yeah, I mean, they are definitely a young team. You know, that the core, especially of this offense, is a young squad. Jordan Love, Romeo Doubs, Jaden Reed. They just got younger, drafting a dynamic receiver in Matthew Golden, who could really have a huge part on this offense coming in.
I love Matthew Golden.
You know, yeah, I mean, definitely. I know that was one of your high targets, Connor, going into as we were getting ready for the draft. But I mean, they're a young squad, you know. So the fact that I think they have the playoff success that they do at this stage early on, I think is a good sign. You know, I think we look at them right now as being one of the better teams in the NFC, and it's disappointing that they have had the failure that they have had. But we got to remember how young this squad actually is, how young Jordan Love actually is. You know, so I think it's more of a promising thing to see as opposed to a negative. And I honestly, B. Smith, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say the Lions earned at least the benefit of doubt from what they did last season.
They do. Like, they really do.
There's some doubt, obviously, because no Ben Johnson, no Aaron Glenn, but they still have the talent, you know. So, but like you said, I wouldn't.
You still got to make some adjustments. You still have to make those slight adjustments. It takes time. Also, not to jump in front. JJ McCarthy, this is his first year with the keys to the car.
Right.
Got to get. They're going to be problems. So it's through no fault of his own. He's a rookie. This is his rookie year.
I think all of these teams have questions for sure, but I think if there is a team to sort of jump ahead in this division, it would be the Packers, because I think, like you said, Vikings have a rookie quarterback in J.J. McCarthy, and the Bears, I mean, don't really know what Caleb Williams will do this year. You know, I was high on the Bears. You know, a few weeks ago, I had them as one of my top sleeper teams in the NFL for the rank tank. But looking at practice footage, looking at the reports, it doesn't seem like Caleb Williams is having the best practice, the best camp as this team's quarterback. Now, there are guys who are standing out. One of them is Luther Burden, you know, their rookie receiver they drafted this year. But it doesn't it's not like Caleb Williams is eye-popping and raising a lot of eyebrows in camp, which should be a concern considering this is your franchise guy.
I want to tell you why. Let me jump in real quick. I want to tell you why it's not a concern to me, because I think last year Caleb Williams was put in the worst position that he could possibly be put in.
Yeah.
Bro, I think that the coaching.
How was that?
No. Listen, talent-wise, talent is talent. He had good talent. But in terms of the coaching and the infrastructure, there's a reason. There's a reason, and that to me for a rookie is more important than the talent, because you need to set these guys up to succeed. Jaden Daniels was set.
I was going to say Jaden Daniels, yes.
And you realize how you remember that first Giants game, right? And then a few weeks later, he had the breakout against the Bengals because they very slowly started to take the reins off and they started him slow, right? In terms of the scheme of the offense, right? They kept it simple. They kept it short, a lot of checkdowns. And then they started to slowly sort of let him flourish. Whereas it felt to me as someone who is not a football expert or coach, maybe you can speak more to this, Shane. What I have read, what I have heard, what I have watched is that from the jump, Caleb Williams was expected to basically handle all pre-snap determinations, right? And then he was playing in an offense that was designed basically like a 10-year veteran quarterback. I mean, Keenan Allen had like the biggest depth of target in his career last season. So what are we talking about when it comes to last year with Caleb Williams? I think we're talking about a year that is a wash. Then you bring in Ben Johnson, and he has to learn a whole new scheme. And so now he's learning a new offense starting from a very weak foundation. And so is he going to be the quarterback we thought he was going to be? That I don't know. But I am not worried based on training camp clips with Caleb Williams. For that reason, that was a really long I cut you off there. Go ahead, Shane.
No. I think you bring up a good point, and I think that's fair. I wasn't punishing him for last season at all because, like you said, I mean, coaching was absolutely horrible. I feel like that was one of my most common preaching points last year was how bad the coaching staff was in Chicago, how bad the system currently is in Chicago. But I'm more so looking at this year. I was high on the Bears because of the Ben Johnson hire. I was high on the Bears because of the weapons that they were able to retain. You know, even though they lost Keenan Allen, it seems like they were able to bring in another dependable receiver, one of our guys, Olamide Zaccheaus, you know, who was a key target for Jaden Daniels last year. They were able to draft Luther Burden, a guy who could be another third down sort of deep threat guy, you know, a little maybe possibly.
Well, you got to get DJ Moore to get back to doing DJ Moore things and not walking off the field in the middle of a play. All right, like they got talent. They just got to get those guys to, you know, play NFL football. It was a slow burn in Detroit, right? Ben Johnson, that first year with Campbell and Johnson in Detroit was not good. It was a slow burn, and that, granted, they were still adding talent, but sometimes when you get these offensive whiz kids, it takes a little bit of time for them to fully integrate new guys into the offense. Now, I think Johnson's smart enough that he'll do what we just said Jaden Daniels got last year, which is keep it simple for Caleb early on. But with this division, with this schedule, a new offensive coordinator, an offensive line that there are still question marks about, I think it's going to be a disappointing season record-wise in Chicago. But I'm hoping and thinking we'll see development from Caleb that is promising.
Well, that's what my concern is.
One other point, though, with Jaden Daniels, he unfortunately screwed it up for all young quarterbacks. Because through no fault of his own, Washington did such a great job at cultivating him during his rookie year. Now, everybody, from a fan's perspective, is going, why can't you do what Washington did? Because not everybody's like that. You had a new ownership. You had everybody in the pecking order, and the Cosmos just worked for that season. So now everybody's expecting. It's a copycat league. Everybody expects this. But realistically, he set a standard that a lot of rookies going in, there's no way they're going to be able to keep up with that. There's no way.
Right. And I wasn't expecting, when I was high on the Commanders, I wasn't expecting Caleb Williams to have like a crazy break in an MVP year. I just thought he would play well enough in a Ben Johnson scheme. You know, hopefully, like we said, Ben Johnson would have ushered him along, would have made great use of the versatile weapons that he has. DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, who is having a great camp so far. Luther Burden, who has steadily improved since he's been back on the field. DeAndre Swift. You know, so I thought it would be promising, but now I'm not even sure.
But that's what camp's all about. That's what camp is all about, finding that, making those mistakes. Yeah. You see, Jalen Hurts this year didn't throw an interception for like the first 15 days of camp. That first year as a starter, the reports coming out of camp were like, this is rough. Right? It takes time. That's what camp is for, is to build that stuff. I don't put a lot of stock in that type of camp performance. I think maybe B. Smith's thing about Aaron Rodgers running through molasses maybe is like a more valuable camp observation.
I wouldn't insult molasses like that.
The physical state of guys. But in terms of him throwing a lot of interceptions, trying to grasp the scheme, I think that's normal. All right, we're already talking quarterbacks, so let's rank them. I think this one's kind of deceptively tough to rank. I really don't know where to go at the top between Goff and Love. I actually think that's a little bit tough. Initially in my brain, I was just like, oh, that's going to be Love. But you go and look at Goff's numbers the last 2 years, whether he's on a loaded team or not. Jared Goff has been balling. Do we put Jared Goff over Jordan Love here?
Yes, 100%. He's
100%, a no-brainer for Shane.
Wow.
Clear number one for me. And I feel like I've been trying to tell y'all about Jared Goff. Connor, you weren't trying to hear none of it.
No.
You were with me a little bit, but I've been preaching Jared Goff's praises for at least this past season. You know, I mean, he's been an MVP candidate for the past 2 seasons. Because he's finished top 3 in passing the past 2 seasons. Was he second? I believe he was second in passing this year.
4,600 yards, 37 touchdowns, 4,600 yards, 37 touchdowns, 12 interceptions this past year.
And now he didn't perform when it mattered the absolute most against the Commanders. Absolutely terrible on the biggest stage of the season for him last season. But during the regular season and leading up to that game, there's no question Jared Goff was the fuel of that Lions offense. Like, he was the glue.
Shane, talk to me about the loss of All-Pro center Frank Ragnow for the Detroit Lions. How concerned should Detroit fans be about this?
Well, I don't even think that's their only concern. You know, that's definitely
that's
big
their
one.
Biggest concern on the field, right?
On the field, yes. But I don't know, because I think losing Ben Johnson is also something that we can consider on the field, because
I'd rather keep Ragnow than Johnson. I'd rather keep the Ragnow than Johnson.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't say you're wrong for that. Like, I don't think, me personally, I don't think there is a wrong choice in that. Like, I don't think it would be crazy for you to say you would rather Ben Johnson over Frank Ragnow. Like, I don't think either one is crazy, but I think you lose a guy like Frank Ragnow. I think when you have a center like Frank Ragnow who can identify and be able to call out what the defense is doing, that helps the quarterback. Like, that's the same thing Jason Kelce was able to do for Jalen Hurts. Like, pre-snap, a lot of the pre-snap adjustments came from Jason Kelce. He was calling out what the D-line was doing, which way they were shifting, which linebackers might have looked like they were blitzing. That helped Jalen Hurts into this first season he had without Jason Kelce. But I think that's similar to what Frank Ragnow, I think the role he played for this Lions offense, being able to identify the fronts of the defense, making the quarterback's job easier. I think Jared Goff is going to have a bigger test for 2 reasons. One, this is his first year without a true offensive wizard in terms of a play caller on the sideline, and he's not going to have Frank Ragnow in front of him on that offensive line. So this might be
a lot to overcome. It is a lot to overcome.
I say that's part of the reason why I think the edge goes to Jordan Love. Because of those changes. That a new OC, it takes time, guys. I don't care how long you've been around. If you have a new guy, and now, as you mentioned, with Ragnow at center no longer there, that the edge, because he Love has consistency with his stuff. His head coach, his line, he's got. That's what. And I said a slight edge. It's not huge. I was like, it's leaps and bounds. No, I think the edge goes to Jordan Love.
But are you saying?
I'm not football smart enough to determine this, but this is what I have read and learned. Is we talk about how important it was for Jason Kelce to teach Jalen Hurts that and to do it for his first few years. We talk about how important it was for Frank Ragnow to teach Jared Goff that and to do it for his first few years. And then the Bears with Caleb Williams were like, you do it. You got it right off the bat. That just speaks again to how poorly he was set up last year. Go ahead, Shane. You're still trying to convince us Jared Goff over Jordan Love. I don't know that you're wrong.
Yeah, I don't think I'm wrong personally, because
no, I get it.
I'm not wrong, but I don't know if I agree.
Well, what I'm asking you is, are you saying who you think will be better this season, or right now who is a better quarterback?
Who's a better quarterback right now? Better quarterback right now.
See, I don't.
Better quarterback?
Better quarterback.
I would say Goff.
What you were saying, B. Smith?
No, I was saying who has a better edge this year. Okay. I lean towards Jordan Love because of those changes. Okay. I think Jared Goff is still the better quarterback.
Yeah.
But Jordan Love is not that far behind.
Jordan Love
I don't think he's far behind.
Yes, he is. I don't think, and that's why I think the edge this year, because of the changes.
If Jordan Love puts it together, Jordan Love's ceiling, I think, is higher than Jordan.
It's going to be scary.
Easily. But what I'm saying is, if we're talking right now, Jordan Love has not done enough in the NFL to just be head and shoulders above Jared Goff. And
I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's a slight edge. That's all. Yeah. only because of the changes that Goff has will deal with this upcoming season. Not having an OC, not having that center has been there. Love has more continuity. He has more consistency. There aren't any changes. He's used to doing what he is dealing with.
I'm personally,
in that context, I would agree.
I'm going to go Love number one. I think the mobility is a big factor here. Jared Goff is one of the least mobile, high-level quarterbacks in the league. I think Love has some excellent mobility. He's got that advantage over him, and I think Love is able to make some plays that Jared Goff is simply not capable of when it comes to the arm talent, when it comes to extending plays. And so I'm going to take Love for that reason, despite Goff's maybe consistency and in-the-pocket ability. Now, we're going Williams third, I'm assuming, because we don't know what McCarthy's bringing to the table.
We don't. We got to go with Williams on this one.
That's the last thing. Well, I want to point out one thing about the Aiden Hutchinson real quick, because I know we're going to be moving on soon here. Aiden Hutchinson last year had 7.5 sacks and 17 quarterback hits in 5 games. I mean, he was on his way to Defensive Player of the Year. He was going to run away with that award, and then he absolutely shattered his leg. And
you remember when you laughed at me for saying that, Connor? You remember when you laughed at you?
That's not what happened.
You scoffed at me. Yeah. When we had
that,
you scoffed at me.
You said that. That's not. I scoffed. I didn't laugh. I scoffed.
It was a scoff.
Okay.
It was a scoff.
I scoffed.
It was a scoff and a chuckle.
And did you say he was one of the 5 best edge rushers in the league? I still think there's some debate to be had there.
I said, I don't remember saying that word for word, but at the time he definitely was.
I'll say this.
And he definitely was at that time, at that point, top 3 in terms of the Defensive Player of the Year running for sure. He really could have won it this year.
It was an unfair scoff. I rescind the scoff.
Unfair scoff.
I slept on Aiden Hutchinson. You made a good call, Shane. Generally, with the Lions defense, you've been pretty on point. Don't make me bring up the Steelers and Ravens again. You've been very on point with the Lions defense, and even though they lose their coordinator, they get a lot of guys back because they were destroyed by injuries last year. So could their defense even get a little bit better despite the loss of a coordinator? And will Jared Goff, this is the moment, will Jared Goff be good enough to overcome the center and the coach? Either way, I've got the Lions winning this division.
Yeah.
Too talented. The Minnesota Vikings are crazy. That roster is loaded. They have a nasty offensive line. They've got Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison on the outside. They added, if you look at their running back depth, it's better than I thought. They've got Aaron Jones, and they added Jordan Mason, an absolute burner from Miami. Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave are now on this team for a defense that's led by Brian Flores. I mean, this Vikings team is loaded.
Hey, hold on. Huge. One more shout out you got to give. If you're talking D-line, we got to talk Marcus Dixon. Don't just skip over
that. Yeah.
Throw him out there. Throw him out there.
Let's talk Marcus Dixon. A D-line that was top 5 in sacks, top 5 in pressures last year. And now you're talking about they get Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave, 2 stud veteran D linemen, 2 edge rushers that were both Pro Bowlers last year in Jonathan Grenard and Andrew Van Ginkel. I mean, I get excited when we talk defense. I get excited when we talk defense.
Yeah, I can feel it. And it's all in the hands of J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah.
All that. One of the best rosters in the league.
Yeah.
All 14-3 last year. And they're riding with J.J. McCarthy coming off an ACL. It is such a massive risk. Obviously bringing Darnold back, maybe you think there's a ceiling on that, right? But it is such a massive risk to take this roster and entrust it to a totally unproven rookie coming off an ACL. I almost hope.
Good luck with that.
Feel for Vikings fans.
Yeah.
You build a roster like this, and then at the most important position in the game, you just have to roll with McCarthy. And hey, maybe he comes out and he's really good. We don't know. It's a total unknown. But I just can't believe that they're rolling with that.
What would you guys have done? Would you guys have gone JJ over Sam or Sam over JJ?
I mean, here's the thing. Part of the reason that they're – and I don't – obviously the cap is infinitely complicated. We don't know how things would have worked out. But I would imagine part of the reason they're able to retain all those guys – Jefferson is one of the highest paid receivers in the league, and they can go get Mason, Hargrave, and Allen, might be because instead of paying Sam Darnold $100+ million, they're paying J.J. McCarthy on a rookie contract. So was there is it wrong to just say, oh, slot Darnold in? No, they made a financial decision as well to now there's a reason that roster is so loaded because they chose not to pay big money to a quarterback who might have a defined ceiling. So I don't even think it was a bad decision. It's just wild to look at and see a team with this much talent that is a Super Bowl worthy roster, really, and say, okay, go ahead, JJ, fingers crossed.
Well, and also too, you mentioned the ACL tear. We've talked about this before. It's one thing if you're a veteran and you're dealing with this, but now you're a rookie, essentially. Your rookie year, you tear your ACL. Now he's got a not only lack of experience of playing in the NFL, period. Now you've got a lack of experience and you're recovering from a major knee injury. So now he's got two things working against him as a quarterback. I hope, I'm not a doctor in any way, shape, or form, but where's the mental side of this? How much time will it take? Guys, we've seen it before. Guys take a little time to heal and trust an ACL tear. So let's hope J.J. McCarthy could be the exception to the rule, but I don't know.
Shane, do you think they made the right decision?
I mean, money-wise, of course, because I think
all things considered, would you have done that or would you have re-signed Darnold?
I'm just thinking about it because money-wise, it feels strange paying Sam Darnold a huge contract after one season when we know Sam Darnold was really on his way out of the NFL before this past season.
58-18, they lost those last two games, the two biggest of the season.
Yeah, but I think if I'm looking at it team-wise, just like personnel-wise, I definitely would have leaned more towards Sam than just fully trusting JJ this year, like especially his first year coming off this injury. Just because JJ may have a higher ceiling, we can probably say he's a little more talented than Sam, even though I would say it's fair to say Sam is talented. He's athletic, he's mobile. I would still lean more towards Sam personnel-wise just because the best quarterback isn't always the best quarterback for your squad. You know, I think Sam Darnold was the quarterback for the squad. The way both parties were able to click immediately from year one, I believe they got off to an 8-0 run at the beginning of this season. So clearly things were clicking. He definitely had a chemistry with Justin Jefferson. He had a chemistry with TJ Hawkinson when he was healthy. This offense had a flow. The defense was amped up off of the offense's success. So, I mean, personnel-wise, I would have leaned more towards Sam, but financially, it was. I see how JJ was the more responsible choice.
So you're the GM. Do you take the financially responsible choice and hope for the best?
Yeah,
or that's what you do, Shane.
I think
you drafted JJ too. It's not JJ.
Yeah, I drafted. Like, I have a couple of years. Like, honestly, I think I'm paying Sam because. Not just because I think Sam is our guy for the future. I think Sam puts us clearly in a win-now situation. We are a team that can definitely win now with the squad that we have, with the quarterback that we have from what we saw last season. We also have a guy who we can start developing for the future the same way the Packers did with Jordan Love, the same way the Packers did with Aaron Rodgers behind Brett Favre. Like we're not only, if I pay Sam Darnold now, I'm not only in a position where I could go and win a Super Bowl this coming season and can possibly beat the Lions because I have an advantage over the Lions because our coaching staff is the same. We still have our offensive play caller in O'Connell. We have an advantage over the Bears because that's a totally new regime, obviously with Ben Johnson going over. And then we have an advantage over the Packers just because they're a young team. You know, they're talented, but they're young. We have the experience now on our squad. A couple of guys on our team who have been to Super Bowls, who have won Super Bowls. So I'm looking.
Shane, I hear you. I hear you when it comes to the Lions lost their coordinators. I hear you. Okay. But they played the Lions twice last year. They lost 31-16 and they lost 31-14.
But do they do
yes,
that with a second year?
But to say that they're on the level with the Lions, with what we saw it. We saw it on the field. In that last game, the Lions defense had like 3 starters left from the start of the year. So in theory, it's fun to say, oh, they lost their quarterback, but we saw it on the field, and they could not compete with the best team in their division. And
but this is not the
Rams either.
But this is not the same Lions team they saw last year,
Like we
and
said,
this Vikings
defensively
team
they might
wouldn't
be
be the
better.
same team.
Defensively they might be better. We can't definitively
But
say
they
they
could
have
also-
an advantage on the line.
But they could also be worse. Like we've seen how devastating losing both of your coordinators can be, and they also lose. We just talked about it. A key piece on the offense and Frank Ragnow at center. They're all pro center.
Ragnow,
So
I think, is a bigger. I think that's a bigger situation. I feel you on that.
Especially against the D line that Lions O line would have to see in the Vikings.
But I don't want to pay a guy. I don't want to pay a guy $100 million for maybe will be better because they lost their, because they lost their coordinators. Like that to me is not enough to pay a guy. If in that last game they had gone to overtime, they barely lose to the Lions, and then they give the Rams a run for their money, or maybe they beat the Rams and then lose. Now we're talking, but it was when it mattered most, the Vikings just did not even show up.
Yeah.
But and that mostly falls on Sam Darnold. He's never been at this height before in his career. This was his first year in this Kevin O'Connell offense. So that's the thing. Like imagine, there's a chance that a second year in this system with these weapons behind this O-line would benefit him greatly to where he is able to pull off those games against those type of opponents in the Lions, in the Rams. Like I don't think
I get
there's
that.
more of a positive you get when you have that sort of familiarity under center.
If you were the Vikings and you could either have Sam Darnold or Shedeur Sanders as your quarterback this season, who would you take? Be reasonable.
Man.
Just take a breath and think logically.
It's hard to pass up on Shedeur Sanders.
It's not. Not in this situation.
I'm going to pick Sam because we know how that looks.
All right.
Only because we know how that looks.
Footnote, it is Minnesota. This is not a big market team. It's not the Rams. So money-wise, from an ownership perspective, Sam, if he had done what he was supposed to do, and it's not a blowout, like you said, Connor, then we wouldn't be having this discussion. They might consider it, but it was so bad. Ownership was like, nah, I'm not going to risk a big contract on this happening again. And we got J.J. McCarthy. I'll take our chances.
Would you rather have J.J. McCarthy or Shedeur Sanders going into this season with the Vikings?
Shedeur.
Yeah,
a fifth pick versus a first-round pick?
I think
because
Shedeur I know.
Honestly, Shedeur is healthy right now. JJ's still trying to recover from
Shedeur missed practice this week with an oblique strain.
That's because he's been putting work in. That's not an injury prone thing.
It's not an ACL tear.
That's true. Sore. Bro, wait. Speaking of that, did you guys see what that Cleveland Browns reporter was saying about Shedeur because he was sore after practice? Did you all see that by any chance?
No. Which one? The one he said, "Hey, you shouldn't be saying that stuff about me."
Yeah, it was. I saw the actual video that he was referring to. So, just long story short, this Browns reporter was on some sort of radio show and said, "Yeah, Shedeur Sanders' shoulder is sore. He's clearly not a good pick for this squad. His shoulder is sore." The host is like, "Well, he's throwing a lot after practice and before practice to get his arm ready." And he's like, "Okay, so he's sore." He's sore. Like, bro, that's what happens when you use your arm multiple times a day in a throwing motion. That's what happens. That you should want him to be sore because
in your first NFL training camp ever.
He's practicing more in this year than he ever has in his life.
There's haters out there. But Shane, you balance out the haters, so don't worry about it. Shedeur's got you to turn to if he ever needs any. I asked Shane if he'd rather have Shedeur or 89 Montana. He's like, Shedeur. He's not playing.
Oh my gosh! Come on, stop it!
All right. Does anyone have a hot take? Does anyone have a hot take for the NFC North?
Oh, NFC North.
Don't force it now. You know the rules. We don't force hot takes. While you guys are thinking, I'll read you a fun little stat that I think a lot of people missed last season. Josh Jacobs, 1,329 yards on the ground, 15 touchdowns. And this is his age 27 season.
I didn't even get a chance to talk about him earlier when I was
talking about Jacobs in his prime, a great year last year.
Yeah.
Raiders just kind of said, go ahead, go wherever you want. And the Packers get an excellent pickup at running back. So
that's another deal that kind of went under the radar because of the Saquon signing, the Derrick Henry trade. That was a very huge. Any other year, that's a blockbuster trade, gets way more attention.
Mhm.
But I mean, when you talk about huge names like Saquon, Derrick Henry, both guys who were MVP candidates this year, that's definitely a major signing for the Packers. I mean, and that leads into my hot take, guys. I think the Packers could win the NFC North this year for sure. I think it's definitely possible.
He took my take.
I think
You
it's possible.
took my take. Yes,
And
I agree with
hey,
you.
man, early bird gets the worm.
I agree with you.
I think, like I said, they have a very underrated receiving core. Even more so now with the addition of Matthew Golden. He's reports that he's been impressive in camp. You also got a offensive player of the year caliber player in Josh Jacobs. We know this offense is just so well balanced. Tucker Kraft, an underrated tight end.
I think Tucker Kraft is an underrated tight end. I agree with you on that. I don't see what you see with these wide receivers. I like Golden, and I think Golden could be a good pickup. I'm excited to see what he is as a pro. But the guys that they had last year, they had 4 wide receivers over 400 yards, which is great.
Well, they also had injuries, though. That's with injuries.
They didn't have a single receiver go for more than 900 yards, and I think maybe they're all solid guys, but I don't think any of them are a Pro Bowl caliber number 1.
I think they could be. That's why I'm saying they're underrated. I think Jaden Reed,
stay healthy,
has that potential. I think Christian Watson most definitely has that potential. I know he's hurt right now, but I mean, they have. You
think those guys are Pro Bowl players?
I think yes. I think they have the potential to be. Yes, they definitely, because you look at the talent, the plays that these guys are able to make on the field. I mean, now like these. I mean, Christian Watson is definitely a receiver 1. Jaden Reed is the guy who could be a receiver 1 in a couple of years.
Okay, hold on. Let's start with Christian Watson. Okay, Christian Watson has played 3 years in the NFL. He's never played more than 15 games in the season. The most yards he's ever had in a season is 620. He's never had more than 50 yards per game on average. So that's Christian Watson. Now, if we go to Jaden Reed, I have a feeling that we're going to see similar numbers here. These guys can be decent receivers in the NFL, but do we see? All right, Jaden Reed, 857 last year, the most he's ever had. And he has had one season, 50.4 yards per game. Now, granted, Reed has only had 2 seasons in the NFL, but he's yet to break 1,000, and he played 16 games in 17 games.
Well, like I said, this is
he's
a young team.
25 years old, but to me, you're basing that not so much on anything.
I'm talking potential. And if you watch these guys play, Jaden Reed is capable of definitely winning 50-50 in battles in the 50-50 ball situations.
I think Reed has got a better chance for sure to become that guy.
Christian Watson is more talented than Jaden Reed. Now he needs to stay on the field longer. But then you got also Romeo Doubs, who I think is a good rotational piece. Dontavian Wicks, who is a good rotational piece. There's a lot of capable pass
good rotational pieces. I think they're all good rotational pieces. I think that's what they all are.
But the fact that they are good rotational pieces, as we have said this early on, these are young guys.
I think that's what they.
But I don't think it's crazy to say this is an underrated receiver group with how young they are, with the plays that these guys.
I don't think so. I don't think you can say underrated. I just don't. Right now, they are not underrated for who they are. Right now, they're not underrated. They're not a super strong receiving group. I think it's one of the weaknesses on this team. If one of those guys can elevate and become a true number 1, dominant, tilt the defense type of guy, but defenses are not scared of the Green Bay Packers wide receivers, right? Right now?
Well, no, of course not. They're not.
Okay, then they're not underrated.
But what I'm saying is,
could they be this year though?
A young and talented receiver group
right
going into another year together, another year with a franchise quarterback in Jordan Love. I don't think it's crazy to think that this offense can take that next step together with the addition of Matthew Golden. Now, I think Matthew Golden is fair to say he has the highest ceiling out of the group with what he was able to do last season. But I think, to me, with what I've seen from Jaden Reed, I'm not sure that Matthew Golden will just automatically elevate to receiver 1.
I think that's fair. I think Reed's receiver 1. I think Reed's receiver 1, but I think if Jaden Reed's your receiver 1, then that's a spot that you need more out of. And I think all these guys are solid pros. Like, no disrespect to any of these receivers. B. Smith, get in there. What do you think of this Packers receiver group?
they're good enough. That's what I said. We don't know what's going to happen this season, but who knows? Who's to say that they don't have a coming out party today?
Sure, but
it could happen.
Anybody can break out at any time in theory.
Yeah.
But
and this could be the year. I think it's possible, given everything that it's expected of the Packers. Maybe this is it. We just don't know. Right. I think it's possible.
We've got ourselves a possibility. Now, we got to get out of here. It's possible we could finish this podcast in under an hour and a half. Now, Shane, do you have any last words? B. Smith, do you have any last words on the Norths? And then we got to get out of here.
Nah, I'm good.
Good, Shane?
I'm good.
I was just going to say I like the Packers D-line as well. I think it's an underrated pass rush for Rashawn Gary, Kenny Clark. They still got Xavier McKinney. I still think Packers could win the division this year, and I'm excited to see what happens in the AFC North this year. A lot of developments there, on both sides of the ball.
And my last one, just to wrap it all up, Justin Jefferson's the best wide receiver in the NFL. Period.
It's fair.
All right.
It's fair.
We got the East coming up, the most fun divisions to talk about for us in this group. That's coming up next week. But for now, on the 13 News Now Sports Overtime podcast, we'll see you later.